Brother Allan, welcome once again because you have been here with us on couple of occasions. You have been here with us, and trust me, I mean, and let me say this, Jamaica, before Allan even speak, right? Allan has, I mean, a lot to offer to Jamaica, and let me say this: to the electorate cannot make a mistake in terms of when you have someone with the knowledge that Allan has. The amount of programs, a lot of people don't know this. The amount of programs that Allan has participated in, right? So Allan will be going through some of that because we're going to have a wonderful interaction with him, right? Allan has led a number of research projects for the Organization of American States. A lot of people don't know that. The European Union, right? The Farmer Department for International Development, UK, DFID, and the United Nations Development Program. Additionally, Allan spent close to a decade with the United States Agency for International Development, managing its development, grant, democracy, and good governance, and citizen security portfolio. So we are dealing with someone who has, I mean, a large wealth of knowledge, right? Been there, done that. When we talk about meritocracy, putting persons into the political representation space to represent us in a very, very meaningful and productive way. So when you have someone like an Allan Bernard in Parliament, you know we are going to get what we call political representation. Allan is not like the ordinary politician who speak and right. I know very well because I've been following up Brother Allan several canvassing in his constituency. Right, he has been there time and time. Right, believe you me, I think that Allan Bernard is one of the 5 candidates that we have that, trust me, canvas is era, canvas and canvas and canvas and over canvas. You understand? So tonight, right, let us get in touch, right, with Brother Allan. I know that many people, right, don't know Brother Allan, so I will have Brother Allan again, right, introduce himself, right, and speak to us as it relates to what he's doing in his constituency. We will listen to Brother Allan, and then, of course, we will ask him some questions. Brother Allan, once again, welcome to Mystic Sensation.
Thank you for having me, Sir Baron. Good night, good evening to all the members of the platform. Always a pleasure to be with you, Sir Baron. Thank you. Happy that you would have chosen to introduce yourself as a member of a team. Appreciate your support. Things is correct. Since she has been on board, a lot has been taking place in social media. For some particular reason, I am one of those persons who are averse to social media. And so it's growing on me. It's growing on me. And I certainly recognize the value. It has been a while now since we working in the constituency of Northwest St. James, and I think I used a term yesterday in our constituency conference at the private session, and I said to those in attendance that if there was any doubt about the traction that we're having, the term I use that we got the ground. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying to you without fear of contradiction that we have the ground. We have been putting in the work, and we have the ground. Couple more things we're working on to ensure that come election day, the victory is secured. But as it is now, we got the ground.
All right.
I want to, again, as I have done in a number at the occasion that I've had a platform like this, as you said, Sir Baron, many persons would not know me as a politician. I have been interacting in the Jamaican public sector and private sector and civil society spaces in various different capacities. The but one of them is really the work that I've done in development, in really working to build capacity of communities, build capacity of community-based organization, and build capacity of people, particularly youth, through different eras of engagement. But persons are more familiar with me as a development practitioner who spends time, managing funds and managing programs that are aimed at bringing development to the country. Other persons are familiar with me as someone out of the University of West Indies who have been there for many, many years, teaching and researching. And so people are more familiar with me in those two spaces. The beauty of my engagement, though, is there's something, I think I mentioned this before, there's something that we call praxis when we're thinking about certain ideologies. And praxis simply is when you have the theory meets the real world.
Yes.
And so that unique, I think, blend I will bring to the space. Many of the things I would have engaged on through research, through teaching, through learning, vis-a-vis the academy. When I get into the space we call representational politics, there's a lot that have to be done to make the two meet, to bring the two together. There are some things that I know Pastor Ricky can vouch for. There's something that the care what book you read, if we tell you how to get it done. Certainly the book provided with a kind of framework or a paradigm through which you can approach it, but you can't tell you how to get it done. And it's just when you're on the ground. But being on the ground and coming from that position where you have all those engagements in the other spaces, certainly it makes what you are doing on the ground a lot more impactful. And so I said that in the context of saying we have the ground simply because that technical approach, that method, is resonating differently from the others who would have been, quote unquote, just campaigning and looking for a vote. A different kind of approach. Persons are appreciating that what we are here to do in the politics is really transforming the society. And transforming the society goes way beyond getting elected. Getting elected is part and parcel of that process because the political space carries a lot of weight in facilitating the transformation. But it's so unique when person will sit with you and they will say, okay, I understand. And even though that person might have a particular affinity for the other party, the conversation that we have with those persons, it's not partisan, it's not tribal, it's not confrontational, is not antagonistic. It's a kind of reception that says, we need to give this young man a chance. And in that context, then, I'm saying that we actually have the ground in Northwest St. James. We genuinely have the ground. Now, we will go into a conversation about what the other side is doing to counter this having the ground. But I think we get to that when we get to that.
Exactly. That being said, Brother Allan, right, knowing to the fact that, okay, you have all these accolades, right? You have been there, you have done that, right? And you didn't have to venture into politics, right? Because you have already established yourself, right? Highly educated. But I want to ask you a fundamental question because it is important as it relates to the electorate choice as well. And so then the electorate can see and emulate, right, your movement, right, as it relates to why is it that as it relates to your talent, your skill, your political potency, looking at both parties, right, you chose the political party that you believe, right, will, help to illuminate, right, your leadership skill. Why choose the People's National Party to harness that?
There are many ways to respond to that. And there's no one factor, but everything comes back to one thing. It's really how it is that you understand service. So let me take it from one angle that many people seem to think is a given. And I agree with them. I can't deny the family that I grew up in. You know, I can't go around that. And my family have always been PNP supporters. And so you learn certain things. You learn philosophy. And again, Norman Manley to Michael Manley, that's the era of my family's rooting in the politics. So when I was learning, obviously it's Michael Manley. I will learn philosophy. And the philosophical, the catchphrase that you are taking from that is power to the people. You know, it's a very important philosophy. It's about the people. It's about empowering the people. It's about ensuring that the people is at the heart of the politics. The people are the ones who should be benefiting from any sort of governance practices. So I got that. You hear on the streets, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek sometimes, it take a different kind of people to support the Jamaica Labour Party. And you know why?
Yes.
Because you can, those persons do that, have that kind of philosophical grounding in terms of the power to the people. You know how important the people is to what you have taken on as your mission, meaning politics or political representational politics. So I can't deny that. You know, it is true that your family would have influenced you, but it moves beyond that to the philosophy. And coming through the education system and my engagement with other kind of thinking, there was absolutely no other choice if I was truly interested in service for and on behalf of the people. And it's just the plain truth. I was a part of the system because I grew up in a household. But even beyond that, just examining, you know, what the options are in front of me, it was a no-brainer. I stand here as a person of the Rastafari persuasion. And again, I can't see, based on the historical antecedents of the Rastafari movement and the historical antecedents of other parties, how I would ever end up on that other side. It's just not going to be happening in a real sense. And so that is really the long and short answer of it. The very, very, very simple answer, I want to give. And again, coming out of my Rastafari thinking, I've never been a part of a system as unique as the People's National Party that tell you that if you learn, you teach, man, and if you bless, you share. And that
right.
is
well, you see, that's why I said people before I introduced Allan, right? That the man is very potent, politically potent. Now, I want to ask a question that, you know, many persons, you know, might be saying, all right, Byron, don't go there in terms of asking that question. But I'm going to ask that question because, again, it's about leadership. It's about the quality of leadership, the value of leadership, right? And how leadership influence, right, persons to follow that particular path of that leadership. Now, I want to ask you this question. What are some of the leadership qualities that you have seen in the comrade leader to firm your participation?
I will put a disclaimer out there. I have been interacting with Mark Golin way before
All right.
me engaging in the political space. Again, Mona grew up University of West Indies. When I was on the development partner, donor partner space, and he was a minister, we were engaging. And we at all sort of events that are official, events that are not official. And the man was just simply an Irish virgin. I use some examples. I tell this to my team all the while. When I was managing funds that supported the Ministry of Justice, and Mark was the Justice Minister, and I'm juxtaposing this on other ministers, even within the PNP itself at the time. And when we do major events, You know those high-profile events where your minister will have to attend because they're bringing the main address. And that event starts at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Mark is there from 7, sitting down, waiting. Other ministers trying to make entrance and waiting until the room is full and them, that was not the... Sometimes I'll go to myself and I say, Minister, you don't have to come so early. And they say, no, Allan, man, what do you man have to do here for the people? That's the kind of brother I is. I'm actually that genuinely. This is before I became an active member. That was the kind of brother is. Very, very genuine. But when you look at what he presents now, he's the epitome of social justice thinking and practice. And what do I mean by that? Mark does the right thing simply because it's the right thing to do and for no other reason. He's not in it for profile. He's not in it because he has some other objectives, certain other kind of ends him want to do the right thing simply because it's the right thing to do. And that's the essence of social justice. And that is my attraction to his leadership. And that is something that at a particular point, I and other comrades would admit to you that we thought that was not in the PNP, or the PNP was losing, that important feature. But that is what really has brought me closer to the leadership of this party, recognizing that I'm seeing me in that movement. The other things are quite obvious, and he's now branded as the integrity boss because he is. The issue of good governance, you'd have used that as one of the things to introduce me. We are very serious on good governance. When Mark was championing the Integrity Commission Act, I was on the other side working with him in the donor space, championing those good governance programs as well. So the basis, the essence upon which much of the transformation will happen is when you have those important principles of good governance being upheld and reinforcing the direction that the country takes. So that's pretty clear. And I don't think anybody can, in any seriousness, offer any criticism to say that Mark Golding is not genuine when it comes on to his social justice ambitions and being a stickler for good governance as the way to move the country forward. So in a nutshell, those, and like I said, beyond that, the man is a very iron man. If you hang out with Mark anywhere at all, you'll be surprised. The conversations are quite simple, quite engaging in the context of somebody who is in touch and grounded with regular people. And this is just in this space, in this social media space and this age of misinformation, that you will hear so many things that people who know Mark or who have engaged with him will say, how could somebody actually come up with something like that to say about Mark Golding? Incredulous. But again, the essence of social justice, a social justice practitioner, and a person who believes in the maintenance of good governance practices to advance our country. That is my attraction.
Love him very much, right, as it relates to the comrade leader, Mark Golding. And when the right time comes, someone got charged with corruption. Now I hand it over to Melting Pot, the open batsman, right? So that's my 2 questions there for Allan Bernard.
Thank you, Sir Lord Byron. I must say a wonderful welcome to Sir Allan Bernard, the People's National Party MP candidate for Northwest St. James. Good to have you in the space once again, sir.
Appreciate the invite.
Right. And I mean, I listen how you, introduce yourself and, to people who have not met you and who have not heard you speak publicly, and how you relate to your philosophy and why you choose the People's National Party. And it dated back from the founding father, Norman Washington Manley, and move and transgress down to his son, late Sir Michael Manley. Now, I just want to ask you, a question as to when the bug hit you to go into representative politics and why, you choose politics rather than some other career based on your resume.
Right. Truth of the matter is, when I grew up, where I grew up in Flanker before, no, Flanker was a PNP place, and your family in it, you're at party school, you're traveling with them, doing whatever they're doing, and you show potential. I've always been kind of say, oh, my bright youth man, him go to school, him will be him not disobey him parents, him well behaved. So people will actually say things about you, maybe just because it's easy to say. I say, you're a good youth, and go come represent you one day and something. So throughout that process, you hear that kind of thing. The bug bit you. I think there was a time when I was asked way early before I embarked on an academic career. And the truth of the matter is, I thought I need to just get certain things under my belt. I would have been approached before to get something under my belt. And they say, not true, man, the youth go fix up him thing and them something. The thing with politics, fix up him thing. But over a period of time, I watched the community that I love a lot and grew up in start to take a direction. And I decided to come back and have a conversation with some persons about development, because that's what I was in. And while I was in the community, and I have a center in the community, when I was in the community doing what I was doing, a couple of persons who I always say, in which part I come from, there are three star people, those who grew me up, those who I grew up with, and those who I grew up. And then I have another set of people who I intend to make them life better. But a couple of people come to me and them say, listen, the community move a particular way. It's clear at the absence of the kind of leadership that you would bring, because the other type of leadership is different. And they asked me one thing, because at that time we had a lot of violence, a lot of killings and so on. And they say, if you not step in, more youths are going to wear than for they live a good life. And because again, the community over time now would have come to recognize that if anybody have them interests at heart, it would be me. So they were very comfortable in coming to me to say, if you don't step in and somebody else step in, then you're going to have this divisiveness continue, because there was a kind of divisiveness and some of it had coloring in terms of the politics. So then to step in. So it really and truly, it wasn't like a bug bite me. It was really somebody reminded me. And I use them terms that somebody reminded me that we still have an obligation to the space that we get a lot from. Like I say, these people grew me up. These people me grew up with. And reminded me that we still have an obligation. And having gone before to invest in myself, again, with their generous support and encouragement, there was no way I could say no. So I wouldn't put it as a bug bite you, but I put it as another stage in the leadership part that I had tried to create for myself, and I want to create for the people and the place that they think me owe so much to. So it was that kind of an engagement, But again, I don't think it came as a shock to anybody. I don't think that. I don't think it came as a shock to anybody. If anything, Sir Melvin Pat, some people will say, "Boy, it take long enough. It took you long enough." I think that was the reaction when I finally entered representational politics 3.5 years ago. Some people are saying, "Yeah, man, it took you long enough, so we're glad you reached now."
So my final question to you: it seems like the community appointed you then to represent them, in a sense, because they see you as a role model individual within the community, and we're looking for leadership from within the community, and appointed you as the chosen one. So I want to know, just a second, I just want to know, what is your big reward to offer them when you finally step into, God knows, as a member of parliament for Northwest St. James? Hold on a second, sir, Allan, I won't be long. Anyone creative initiative that you have that no other MP have thought about that you want to introduce to your Northwest St. James constituency?
There are a couple of things here now that appointed. It's a strong word, you know, it's a strong word. The only other word would have probably come from Pastor Rick would have been ordained. But I want to stay away from those words. Like I said, I think based on the trajectory, the path that I was on, you know, it's a logical progression. It is something that many persons would have had already in their minds that, you know, it would have evolved into this ultimately. But the community, the other part I want to talk about, the base of the community has now broadened, because initially the community I was focusing on was the community I grew up in Northwest St. James, which was Flanker. Now the community has broadened. And if you see how we would have developed a strategy to bring all the communities together in Northwest St. James under a vision that I provided to be shared among the group, it's phenomenal. You would have think that I grew up in Norwood now, or I grew up in Salt Spring now. You know, it's just the kind of way in which we move from just a singular community to a collective community called Northwest St. James. And they have all accepted, you know, the connections are apparent in terms of friendships through school, families, in-laws, those kind of things. Connections are there right across the constituency. And that allows me now to become much more than initially someone seen me as somebody from Flanker, but really somebody who is genuinely from Northwest St. James. What I will bring are the reward for the community. The reward for the community is in a nutshell, the quality of your lives will be transformed and improved. The new People's National Party slogan is "Time come for a better life." I don't think you can offer the community anything else but that opportunity for them to have a better life. 23 plus years, I'm using that as my benchmark. 23 plus years of leading a constituency. And people cannot say with any level of confidence that this is the better life that they're experiencing. You know, it's appalling sometimes when you talk to people and look at people. I and everybody know will work hard, work relentlessly, work tirelessly, work without condition, no conditions attached, to ensure that the quality of the life of people living in Northwest St. James is significantly improved. Comrade Belton Pot, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. The people of Northwest St. James are industrious, they are resilient. But when you put artificial obstacles in them way,
oh yes,
it undermines their resilience. It undermines them very confidence to move forward in a positive, forceful, and concerted manner. And that is what is happening in Northwest St. James. And those are the things that we sit and we talk about and we strategize about. How do we get this done? You said initiative. It won't be one initiative. It will never be one initiative. There are too many issues that have to be fixed, some concurrently, some consecutively. So it won't be one initiative. The goal ultimately is to ensure that everybody experience a better quality of life, that Northwest St. James is good for everybody, not some. And so that will require activities, initiatives, programs, projects on many levels. And the main one that needs to be fixed right now, if anybody comes with Allan, what is it that you want to fix from the get-go? And I want to ensure that the governance structures within Northwest St. James are returned, where people are at the center of the decision making. It was like that before. No, it is not like that. You come to Northwest St. James and everybody is just playing passive recipient. Nobody's an active participant anymore, because that is how the system is organized. It's a work of one-upmanship. But you're taking anything you get because that's so you go. And I'm here walking the length and breadth of St. James, telling the people, no, that's so you go. You have a say. You can determine your destiny. You can have a say in every single thing that takes place in your community. And so that is critical. That's a prerequisite, I put here. It's a prerequisite for North St. West St. James to be transformed. Those opportunities are not given to people. Those opportunities are not given to the ordinary persons. You have a couple of people who are connected or who are a part of that system that is established by the present political representatives, and they are the ones who just do things. They do what they feel they need to do. They don't engage, they don't consult. And that is causing the chaos. And that has brought the space to a position where they are only passive recipients and not active participants. That is crucial. Once we put those back in place and bring the correct leadership to the center for them to take charge and to lead out, and for the political representatives to partner with those groups, to work pretty much at the dictates of those groups, you will not see the difference here. This present leadership, they do not even understand what participatory governance means. And I say that without fear or contradiction. They don't. They can't sit in a group with people and listen. They can't sit in a group with community leaders and listen. They go to people and tell them. And these groups that they go to now in Northwest, and I'm saying it loud and clear here, they are not even representative groups of the people. These are handpicked people that they put in a space to validate something that they want to get done. That is what is happening. There's only one group now that I see really trying to stand up against this kind of practice. And I'm empowering that group. I'm working side by side with that group to say, listen, that is the correct approach. Continue to represent your community, yourselves, and your future well. So again, I know it's a lot to say to a question, a lot to answer a short question, but that is the prerequisite. You have to bring the people back to the center of governance in these communities. Otherwise, everything will continue to be how it is.
Well,
And I totally endorse that, because as you previously said, power for the people. Thank you, Sir Allan Bernard.
That is it, Sir Miller. Power for the people.
yes, Brother Allan, I love how you flaunt that sort of leadership style out there, a sort of democratic leadership style involving all the persons. And I glad how you carefully pointed out that your endeavor is not any form of individual approach, it's a collective approach involving people. As we talk about participative governance, which is lacking, we have seen as it relates to many of them in the opposition, right? This sort of individualistic movement, giving a donkey there to one person, giving I mean, come on, what sort of thing? Give a 2 hours there to, so true, we know that time is an essence, and we are not going to make, because things on the journey with you, right, partially every day. So, right, let me just step back as it relates to Pink's movement, right, and bring in Pastor Ricky, because Pastor Ricky, of course, is ready and willing, right, to ask some positive questions as well. Pastor Ricky, come in the space.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Byron. Big respects, my comrade brother, Allan Bernard. Continue to do the work. I apologize. I have to log off in 2 minutes because I'm going to preach on a radio station in Jamaica. So I might not hear your response, but I'll be back once I'm finished. But my question is, I know that you're doing a lot of work in the community, from beach cleaning on the Harmony Beach and, walking the ground, putting up your posters and flyers. And we know that they have in the past taken down your campaign posters and flyers. The Supreme Court ruled for the three candidates that happened to in St. James, that they should stop it. But I understand that practice continues even to today. So what is your plan to go? Could you put up some kind of digital display? I know it's probably going to cost more than the flyer, or I don't even know who the political ombudsman is. We heard there's one getting 60 million a year, but we don't know who that person is, but what is your plan based upon the Supreme Court ruling? Because they're still in breach of the court order. So what is your plan to literally get more posters, flyers, election paraphernalias in display, because it's part of the political process? What is your plans for that? And I'm so sorry if I have to run in 1 minute, but I'll be listening until
I'll jump to the easiest one quickly. Yes, we have now placed a digital board up, and they can't touch that. So digital board is now up, and it's quite prominently displayed, and that is doing a lot. I think Pingsky was the one who took a video and showed it. I've never seen it live, but he took a video and sent it to me, and it looked very well. So I want to speak to a couple of things quickly. The court ruling. So the court ruling prohibits the St. James Municipal Authority from removing our flyers based on the ground that they were removing them. So the municipal authority has ceased and desist from doing that. Now, that does not stop the supporters of the other party from continuing this act, because again, your leadership set the tone, and the Prime Minister himself would have been caught on camera at a function congratulating the mayor. This was before the ruling, congratulating the mayor in a very colloquial way, for taking down our poster boards. So you see, the leadership sets the tone for the support.
Exactly.
And so even though we have a ruling now, the supporters continue to carry out these acts. And I must say that while I suffer at their hands, my other colleagues, Janice Allen and Andre Harton, they are suffering even more, because they have, again, bigger boards and more boards in more prominent places. And so they come under a lot of attack from these persons. The political ombudsman, in the initial stages, very silent, simply because, in my mind, they haven't really sorted out how that office should now operate under the Electoral Office of Jamaica, as opposed to it being a standalone office before. So they are very slow out the gates. I think they have now come out and they have made a couple of requests of the political parties. But again, it having removed or neutered the authority of the ombudsman, I can't see them being any much more effective than they are now, which is next to nil in preventing these things from happening. What I must say, and even though I will not have the resources, or will not be able to gather resources to replace a lot of the boards that have been damaged or taken down, I actually came out very early. I was out very early, and so when I analyze it and I look at it, I would say, you know what, I think I have achieved that objective, the visibility that I had wanted. We had come out very early before many persons, within the time frame, of course. And we had come out with some unique flyers that were just all over the place, littered the place, and they were very catchy. And so in that sense, I do not want to be detained by trying to figure out or in a poster battle, because it's quite distracting now, very distracting, and takes away your time from other things. So we have taken a decision to simply just leave it alone. The point was made. We won the court case. Social media accepts now that these persons are very, very malicious, and we have never, ever done the same to them. And again, we have made the point, and we have the electronic billboard now, so that they can't trouble that one. And we have social media. We have social media, and the team is working hard to continue to present me in social media. The images are out there, and I think that is good. Notwithstanding, we do have a limited amount of boards still in store, and we intend to put those up sooner to the date, because they're going to take them down again. And because I can't afford to replace them so often, we're just holding on to those now. And when we hear the announcement, we put them up. And then at this time, more eyes will be on it. So the opportunity to take them down might be somewhat reduced. But again, I see this as another attempt at them trying to distract us.
Yes.
Very distracting. And I think it's a deliberate ploy by them to get us away from talking to the people, selling our plans, touching flesh, as you say, and in this war with them on post-war. We in St. James and we in the People's National Party, we have decided not to be detained by that. And so, as it is right now, we are not focused on that. We have taken our victory that was given to us by the courts, and we have taken our victory that was given to us by the people out there in social media who sees and understands that these are troublemakers trying to derail a democratic process.
And Allan, it speaks right in length in saying that if the Jamaica Labour Party, right, deals with strong political representation, they wouldn't have to resort to those things, right? Obviously. So obviously they are saying to the people, right, we know that, we have not represented you, right? And so then we have to resort to all of these behavior. Sister Spinks, right, you're in this space, right? Do you want to say anything as it relates to, what, you have been doing, right? Helping out Brother Allan, right, to, of course, be there and make sure that we have him in the space as our member of parliament, which is good. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Alan knows I have his back. I am
All
loyal
right.
to the party and I'm loyal to him because I want his victory to be there. I want him to walk into Garden House with his head high. And as a Rasta man, I endorse it, him 100%. Right? The
Right.
other point I would like to make is what are your plans, Alan, for the security and safety for the people in Northwest? Do you have any plans when you become member of parliament? Because that's one of the big main concerning the fact that the SOE is still there and the soldier camp is still there, even after the ruling.
So, as it relates to safety and security in the space, there are a number of approaches, but as you know, the People's National Party approach is really to address root causes.
Right.
There's no band-aid put over it. You have to address the root causes. We have to ensure that the society is so transformed and a generation is so empowered that we move away from certain elements in terms of how we engage each other. But let me just say three things about the safety and security at Northwest St. James. And the first point, I'll make this point and I'll leave it there for you to discuss after I take my leave. The message of safety and security is only as good as the messenger. We'll say it one more time. Message of safety and security is only as good as the messenger who delivers it. We are not blind, deaf, or dumb in Northwest St. James. We know how the space has emerged and evolved. And we know under the type of leadership that has brought the space to where it is. Many of us have literally, seen it with our own eyes. Some of us have been victims. Some of us have been adjudicators in the middle of it. So it impacts us and we know from whence it came and we know the kind of leadership that facilitates this. And I'm putting it out there, my first major point to make to the people of Northwest St. James is that once we continue to have this kind of leadership, we'll continue to feel unsafe in our homes and our communities. And that's just the plain truth. If you come from Northwest St. James, you know this. If you come from Northwest St. James, you feel this. And this is one of the things that would have caused me to say on other platforms that Northwest St. James is unique in that it is systematically traumatized over a number of years. And I will leave it at that. And, you can have a discussion on it later on. As I said before now, the approach to sustained safety and security, and this is from an empirical position, is that you can't rely solely on law enforcement. Law enforcement, by definition, enforces the law. But it is people, it is community, it is citizens that conducts the policing work, if you understand what I'm saying. So earlier, I had said there's a systematic move to remove people from the center of governance. I intend to bring them back, because it is that kind of structure that will ensure that we take ownership and leadership of the safety and security of our communities. It's not only law enforcement enforces the law, that's what they do, but citizens, we police our community. The partnership that we need to broker between law enforcement and community is critical. I listen to the commentaries coming from the government now and the minister and even the prime minister when they pat themselves on the back for a reduction in homicide rates. And I don't want to go into the questioning the numbers. I'm going to take them for the purpose of this discussion. There's a reduction. I've listened to them, and they have oftentimes heralded the advancements that are being made in bringing new expertise and technologies to the force. That is true. But I submit to you on this platform that had there not been the everyday relentless work of community groups, the church. People do not understand how much work the church do, you know. People are just quick to say, church this. No, the church has done tremendously well to maintain the social cohesion within the communities. Many people don't understand that kind of leadership where you have a group of youngsters get together under the leadership of a good youth just to play some football, or that maintain the social fabric and the cohesion within the community. Had those things not been in place, and I'm submitting it to you here on this program, had those things not been in place, had the JPs and the church members and the business people and the sporting people and all those community people who not going anywhere because that's their community, they can't leave when war broke out. They have to stay there and fix it. Had they not been doing that groundwork, look here how much improvement in the capacity of the JCF take place, you couldn't see what we're seeing now. And I'm not hearing the kudos going out to these unsung heroes in partnerships. I'm not hearing it. And that is what I know. And it is only when that ground is conducive to law enforcement that the police can come in and effectively enforce the law. Again, I'm not questioning the numbers. I'm questioning the conversations around how it is that we get here and how it is that we sustain this. And I'm saying the community has to be part and parcel. Let me change that. The community has to be at the center. And then the third point is the point I mentioned earlier. We have to now move away from thinking that we can shoot it out or we can lock them up or we can kill them out. Not going to work. We have to address the root causes and begin to transform. Attempts have been made in the past to do this under many initiatives supported by the PNP, and those have been disregarded, defunded, neutered, criticized, chastised, to the point where I'm hearing people now changing their mouth to say these are the things that we want. But that is crucial. The public health approach to responding to crime and violence has not been disproven yet. What we have not done, we have not invested heavily in it over a longer period of time to get the sustained results that we need. So my overall approach to safety and security in the constituency begins with participatory governance, putting the community back in the center of the process. It's about partnership with law enforcement, and it's about focusing heavily, investing heavily in addressing the root causes of the violent problems that we have.
Well said, brother Allen. Have you completed Spinks? You have any more questions? Spinks, you might. Do you have any more questions, Spinks?
No, I don't have any more questions. That is it. He gave me a perfect response, and I would like to know that the people of Northwest St. James have the safe and secure future with Allan, because Allan is the one.
Thank you to point out that. Brother Allen, I know you have 5 minutes leave. I want you to just use that 5 minutes, right, and speak to your electorate as it relates to why they need, right, to support you, right, as their member of parliament.
Again, let me thank you for the platform, Sir Baron, and I think again your platform has been doing a great job for the People's National Party and for the people of Jamaica. So I want to speak to Northwest directly in this last 5 minutes. I have been at this representational politics process for 3.5 years now, and we have been engaging with the people of Northwest St. James, listening to the people of Northwest St. James, and using that engagement, using those ideas, using those knowledge to guide a strategy to ensure that we transform Northwest St. James. It is working. It is working. People are listening, people are communicating, people are sharing, and people are asking for the change. What is holding back persons from making that change? No one I've spoken to have said to me why I can't win. They speak to me about what it is that would have prevented them, or why it is that they feel that they cannot change what is happening now. They are convinced that I am the best person. Northwest is convinced. Northwest, as I said earlier, is traumatized and is concerned about how to bring about that victory. I am saying to you that where Northwest St. James is now, those concerns that you have about, one, the invincibility of the present member of parliament are unfounded. Those concerns you have about the integrity of the process because of the kind of leadership that has been around for 23 years, those are unfounded. All that is required now of the electorate in Northwest St. James is to come out and exercise the franchise. Nothing in the system, in the process, will prevent you from doing that except you making that decision on your own. We have seen changes in structures, in practices across the constituency that no longer allows for the kind of politics that would keep you away from the polls in the past. And that is the message I want to give to Northwest St. James. You want the change. You have said to me you want the change. I know you want the change. I know you are sick and tired of this kind of leadership. I know you are sick and tired of the representation you have been getting for 23 odd years. And I know you want to change it because you have told me so. But you have also registered to me that you have concerns about how it is that you can play your role. I'm saying, come out, vote. That is it. Come out, vote. Nothing is going to prevent you except you taking a decision not to. And I know you want to. The systems are in place to protect your franchise. The structures are in place to ensure your safety and security while exercising your franchise. It is just for you to come out and do what you want to do, to do what you probably had wanted to do for the last 20 or so years. The People's National Party is giving that assurance. I am giving that assurance to the community, to the residents, to the voters of Northwest St. James. It is time for a better quality of life in Northwest St. James. And the only way we can have that is for you to come out and vote on election day. It is going to be fine. You are going to be fine. Jamaica is going to be fine. Northwest St. James is going to be fine. Looking forward to the support of the residents of Northwest St. James, whenever time they choose to call it. As the Gensec would say, Comrade Barrett, Andrew can run, but him can't hide. Him
Can't hide.
it. And when him call it, the people of Northwest St. James are going to come out and register a resounding yes to Allan Bernard as their member of parliament for the next political term.
Well said, Brother Allan. And we want to say a big thanks to you for passing through Mystic Sensation once again. And Electorate, I'm speaking to you.
And just, Uncle Byron, I'm just reminding you about Sunday, Alan. You mentioned about Sunday, our parish meeting.
Oh, Brother Allan, you want to speak to us about that parish meeting?
Yes. So we are having, as you know, the party, each constituency would be having their constituency conferences at around this time. But because we're in an election mode, we have decided to go big or to go bigger. Right. And so we are having a joint parish constituency conference in Mount Salem Main Road, 6 p.m., July 27th. That is this Sunday. Party leader will be there. The party leader will be there. The party leader would have given one of his best presentations in St. Anne yesterday. And we're looking for a presentation in St. James that will top that. So I'm calling out all the Northwest St. James residents, warrior comrades, blood and fire comrades, supporters, everybody, come out, support our parish conference. South St. James will be there with Nikisha Burchell. Central St. James will be there with Janice Allen. West Central St. James will be there with Andrea Horton. East Central St. James will be there, Rochelle Reed-Nat, and I will be there with the comrades from Northwest St. James. Looking forward to one of the biggest parish conferences we have seen in Jamaica for a while. Come out September 27th, this Sunday, 6 p.m., Mount Salem Main Road. This is one that is going to be epic and should not be missed.
All right. You can't miss it. All right. Thank you. Big up yourself, Brother Allan. Right. Looking forward to speak to you again. Well said.